So in Atlanta, there was a disagreement between a young woman and a police officer, where basically this police officer had given a ticket to a woman and this individual, and I don't have their names in front of me, but he told them that they needed to sign the ticket and they were uncomfortable with it. Oh, well, I'm sorry, the man signed it no problem because he knows the deal. He's probably been through this before. Hey, I'll sign it, whatever. The woman felt deeply uncomfortable with signing this ticket and basically asked for the man's badge number and repeatedly signed the ticket until it was made clear to her that if you don't sign the ticket, I'm going to arrest you. Now, in an interview after this whole situation, when they asked, like, why wouldn't you sign the ticket? She made it clear that she was afraid, that she had never been in a part of a situation like that before. And she felt deeply uncomfortable with signing a document when she didn't understand the implications of what that signature would mean. So she was basically, from her standpoint, she felt like, I'm asking for clarification of why I have to sign this document. I don't believe I should have to do this. By the time she agreed to sign the document, or sign the ticket rather, the police officer had completely lost patience and made it clear that he was going to arrest her. She felt like that was deeply unfair, struggled back, refused to put her hands behind her back and said, just let me sign the ticket. I don't want to be arrested. And he was not having it, struggled with her down to the ground. I think he put a tase gun on her as well. And finally, they did end up arresting her. The Atlanta Police Department has released the body cam footage of this incident, and they stand behind the officer, basically saying, if we tell you that we're going to arrest you if you don't sign this ticket, and you decide not to sign this ticket, we have the right to arrest you. If you resist and refuse to put your hands behind your back, when we tell you to put your hands behind your back, you could potentially get paid, tased. It just is what it is. And this has caused definitely a large uproar in Atlanta, with a lot of people saying that the woman has been treated unfairly, that her rights were violated, and that the questions and the hesitation that she had regarding signing this ticket were not unfair. Hudson, what are your thoughts?
Why do we have to sign tickets? What, for what purpose, other than to create conflict, do we have to sign
Mm,
tickets?
great question, sir. Great question.
It's no like if there's no absolutely no reason that I can see, that I got to go and sign this thing. After I don't like you anyway because you just stopped me, pulled me over, did whatever. I
Hmm.
don't want to talk to you. You tell me I got to sign this thing, and absolutely, what the hell am I signing?
Right.
What am I signing, and why am I signing it?
I don't understand, like, what kind of tickets do you have to sign? Because I've been pulled over for running a red light before. I didn't have to sign the ticket. The officer came, got my ID, came back, gave me back my ID, and gave me a ticket and said, "I'll see you in court if you try to fight this ticket." And I sure did show up to court, and he sure did come right to the front, like, "No, no, 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 no. He's got to pay this." And like, there was no signature involved whatsoever. So, what kind of tickets do you have to sign? Or is that maybe something that varies from state to state? Like maybe in other states you do have to sign a ticket when you get a traffic stop? I'm confused.
I would assume so. I would assume that's definitely got to be a city to city, state to state thing. But signing tickets, that's absolutely crazy. But
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree.
I I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier with all those traffic stops. People are just skeptical automatically when an officer approaches. Part of my
Hmm.
fear in Chicago is not just the crime; it's police.
Yeah, yeah.
You just don't know what they're going to do in certain situations. So, you know, so the timeline, yes, she did ask for the name and the badge multiple times. I suppose in his view, she was just stalling. which I guess was
Did
his.
he provide his name and his badge number?
He did a couple times, and so but you know, I couldn't tell if she just, sometimes when you do things, you just kind of you, you're trying to pay attention, but you're nervous at the same time, and maybe that's what it was that she didn't remember it any time that he told her, right?
Mhm.
But you know, the police are going to say that there's, of course, within the legal, whatever legal statutes and rules that they have, that he followed it. And I'm sure he did. But what we often complain about is discretion, right?
Right.
My question is, I got lots of questions about this. Like if the park was closed, why were they there? How could they have been in there if the park
Mhm.
is closed? Right? Do you need to give everyone a ticket just because they were in the park? Can you just tell them park is closed? I need you to exit. Why does everybody need to get a ticket? Is every white person getting a ticket? Is this a park that only black people pretty much go to because it's in a black neighborhood?
Mhm.
So
So my understanding, um, I believe what I read in the article is that there's been an increase in there's been a greater focus in trying to ticket regarding these things because there have been more murders recently in that area. And I think we all know there's been a significant uptick in crime and murders, period, in Atlanta, which the police are trying to fight back against. Here's what I find weird about the situation. But it's a man and a woman, and they're not identified. So we don't know if they're a couple or they're siblings or what, right? But let's say for a moment this they're a couple, all right? The guy knew what was up and just signed the ticket. He was like, "Look, I know the drill." The woman is scared and she feels like she doesn't understand what's going on. Why didn't her man step in and show some leadership and be like, "Hey, baby, this is what's going on. It's okay. Just sign the ticket. We'll deal with it later. Let's all move on." Like, I don't understand that part. Like, she's wigging out and asking this officer the same question over and over, which is going to piss him the hell off. Why is her man not stepping in like, "Whoa, look, let me take control of the situation, baby. You don't want to do this." All right, this is not how it works. You got to just go on ahead and sign that ticket because I know you don't want to go to jail. You've never had that experience before. You don't want to have that experience now. Go ahead and sign the ticket, and then we're just gonna move on with our lives. It's gonna be okay. Like, I don't understand the whole idea of letting her freak out and then getting upset with how the officer treated her. I also don't, I'm sorry. I just, like, I understand that there's probably a problem here of black people being over policed, of black people not being given discretion that would probably be given to white people. And I definitely feel like that's part of the problem. But I think it's hard to justify that the officer really treated her poorly or did something wrong here. Like, you don't have the right to try to get me to answer the same question over and over again and stall in 1,000 different ways to prolong this situation when we both know you were doing something you had no business doing. Like, maybe I should have let you off. Maybe I really didn't have to ticket you, but I decided to ticket you. And there's nothing you could do about it right here, right now. So sign the damn ticket and move on with your day. For her to try to make this a whole thing and try to tell him you don't have the right to do this to me and basically try to prevent him from being able to ticket her, you can't handle it that way. Like I'm sorry, especially as black folk, we know sometimes when you're dealing with police, it's just going to go poorly. It's just not going to go your way. And when you know you're in that type of situation, you got to eat crow. You got to eat crow and move on with your damn day. Now, maybe the next day you file a complaint, you get yourself a lawyer, you fight the issue, you go to the media, tell them about what happened, tell them about how poorly you were treated, et cetera, et cetera. But in the moment, when you're actually dealing with that officer, you got to eat crow and chill and do what you need to do to ensure certainly don't get killed and that you don't get arrested. And it's readily apparent that she didn't approach that situation that in that way. She tried to approach it like she had some measure of power, but you don't. You don't have power in those types of situations, and you have to accept that.
Well, so to piggyback on that interesting thing, right? If you look real close at that video, he did hesitate for a second and was
Mhm.
about to ask, I got to sign it. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if two people who possibly have been living there their whole lives or a good chunk of their lives did not know that they were supposed to be signing tickets. Is this a new thing?
But he
That's
knew
one.
what but he knew what to do.
It maybe so, but
I
you
don't
know,
like this. This seems weird, but you know what? I know it ain't gonna go no other way. I know what the alternative is, and, and I don't want no parts of that. So let me go ahead and sign this damn ticket,
I
and
mean,
I'll get a lawyer tomorrow.
what she's really guilty of is trying to is just not asking in the right way or saying the right things. And I'm sure that's out of nervousness, possibly, or because the question then it becomes, well, what exactly am I signing here, officer? And that's the question that never exactly came out.
Hmm.
That's the thing that that she's busy on. She let a whole bunch of different things distract her. The fear, the things he said, trying to let him know that he's not going to just force her to sign something. You
Right.
know, I'm a type of individual where I stay more focused. What what exactly am I signing here, officer? What
And
is
I
this? You
and I
know,
think that becomes the problem. You can't, in most situations, you can't tell police what you're not gonna do. Like it just doesn't work like that. That only works for white folks and lawyers. All right, like very rarely, or if you are in a situation with a police officer and y'all are not being recorded, can you, the officer, just say, okay, this is what you're gonna do, and you just be like, nah, I ain't doing that, bro. Like that's gonna get you arrested. It's gonna get you arrested every single time. And even if you are in the right, oftentimes you will have no recourse. You will get no justice. It just is what it is. This is why I stay away from cops. I try to do a very good job of making sure I am never in a situation where I have to deal with police because I know it is very easy for that shit to go poorly. But if you end up in that situation for whatever reason, you got to accept the circumstances you're in.
well, that leads to the other thing. Did she go to jail for not signing, or did she go to jail for mouthing off? Right,
Both,
and
both.
well, I would argue that she went to jail for mouthing off. You
I
know,
mean,
I
yeah.
I think that again, I'm a different kind of person. Because
Mhm.
I'm the kind of person. I've been, ma'am, what exactly are you trying to ask? What are you
Mhm.
trying to get at?
Right.
Let's wrap this up. What are you trying to find out? What do you need? And
And that
I'm the type to have that kind of patience and talk to people because I don't want to because he ran both their IDs.
right.
So again, when I talk about discretion, we're talking about he clearly didn't see anything in their record or lack thereof of a record that
Abs-
said that they were dangerous, that they were bad people.
mm,
In fact, I'm willing to bet he saw that they were just regular old citizens,
Yep.
right? Causing no problems anywhere. And this is where I have to use my discretion and say, okay, this woman might be mouthing off a little bit, but am I really going to take it to this level because she's mouthing off? How
Right.
about try to find out what she's mouthing off about? What
Mhm.
is going on here? And that's the
Mhm.
type of person I am, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's the type of officers we need,
That's
right?
true.
This is not what we need. These guys who keep trying to seem to everything is seem like he's just trying to prove that you're going to sign this, you're going to do what I'm going to tell you to do, or you're going to go to jail,
Mhm.
right? And I've seen too many videos. I follow the Young Turks. I follow these guys who go to these federal buildings and all these police stations and they record them. Oh man, those cops go crazy over it.
That's true.
They go crazy over it.
That's
But
true.
because these guys that's going and recording are white, they don't end up getting what they would get if it was us. But they do get threats, and it does get mighty close sometimes.
Hmm.
But these guys are all, you give me your ID or else.
Hmm.
It all starts there. I want your ID now or else.
Hmm.
And boy, they go nuts when you tell them, no, I'm not giving you my ID. They go absolutely nuts. I have a
Hmm.
right to film right here.
Hmm.
If you don't want it filmed, hide it. I, They explain to them a million times that's the law. Whatever
Hmm.
you want to keep confidential, you have to hide it. That's your responsibility.
Hmm.
But it's a public building. I can film out here. You
Hmm.
know, they go absolutely crazy. And that's what it is. They always want you to do what they want you to do. These aren't the type of officers we need. It's not the type of training they should have, right? It doesn't make you a pushover just because you decide to talk to a woman who probably doesn't have a record, has probably been a decent citizen
Hmm.
for most of her life, right?
Hmm.
So why couldn't he have used some discretion here?
So, do you feel like the department should have punished them?
At the very least, I think some retraining. Like I said, I'm not into punishing people for something that they didn't tell them was wrong to
Hmm.
begin with, right? And in this case, like I said, their rules and regulations, I'm pretty sure gave them what, when you have discretion to go one way, you have some discretion to go the other way. He went
Right.
the other way, but he had that discretion to do it. Now, what I would suggest is that they sit them down and do some retraining and tell him a bunch of different better ways he could have handled that.
Hmm.
Because I don't think he should get a stat or a reward for an arrest here on something on something like that. It's like when you play at basketball and you're doing okay out there, but you're not making outstanding plays.
Hmm.
You're doing just enough that the team's not quite losing because of you, but you're not really adding anything to the success either. You're just kind of out there on the court, right? And that's what this officer is. He's just kind of out there on the court.
Hmm.
He's not these weren't hardcore criminals, or else
Right.
he would have came back at them after he ran their IDs much differently than
Hmm.
he did.
Hmm.
So he didn't just caught a woman who was mouthing off. Are these the dangerous criminals that we were worried about in the parks that's been shooting people? Absolutely not.
Right. Right.
And because somebody's been in the park shooting people, we're now punishing those who have not done the shootings. We're punishing those with jail time
Mm.
that have
Mhm.
nothing to do with the shootings that were happening, more than likely.
Mhm.
While the actual shooters were like, oh, okay, the police heavy here, we gonna go somewhere else.
Same thing
Because
that's
make no
happened in
mistake, as
Chicago.
soon as they found out, oh, y'all gonna be here, we gonna go over there.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
by y'all being in those parts, y'all have basically said we're not gonna catch any criminals.
Mhm.
Not any real ones. You're gonna catch this woman who was mouthing off. Come
Mhm.
on, come on.
It's rough, man. It's rough. So it'll be interesting. I'm definitely tracking what's happening in Atlanta. It's interesting to me to see. Looks like they are now on track to have a higher murder rate than we have here in Chicago. And it's always unfortunate and frightening to see yet another black community going in the wrong direction. So
Well,
hopefully.
I mean, look at it. They're employing the same dumbass tactics that we are here.
Mhm.
I mean, what's the first thing we did when when those things started happening in the parks downtown or in their flashy areas in the
Mhm.
city? Now all of a sudden they want to impose the curfew. They want to do all this now when It's the same dumb tactics that
Hmm.
don't get to the root of any of the problems. The same roots you were talking about earlier in the show.
Poverty and education.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to deal with
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and so you keep employing these same dumb tactics. Let's put a bunch of police in this area and bother regular citizens.
Hmm.
you know, let's arrest some law-abiding citizens. Is basically what this dude did. He
Hmm.
arrested a law-abiding citizen
Yeah.
because she mouthed off.